I thank the representative of Panama for his statement, and I give the floor to the representative of the UK.
Thank you, President. I thank Deputy Special Coordinator Alak Barov for briefing us today. 2025 has been a year of unimaginable suffering for Palestinian civilians in Gaza, for hostages and their families, and for the wider region. Yet there is cause for renewed hope. Thanks to the tireless diplomatic efforts of the US, Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt, we have a ceasefire. 47 more hostages returned to their families, and a 20-point plan for Gaza offering the chance of a peaceful future for the region. We call on all parties to uphold the ceasefire and fully implement Security Council Resolution 2803. Israel must lift all barriers to aid without delay and let international NGOs operate freely. At least 14 people are reported to have died since last week due to harsh winter conditions and flooding. We need medical supplies, shelter materials, and fuel delivered into Gaza now. UK-funded tents have entered Gaza to provide urgent shelter for families. This provides a lifeline for 12,000 vulnerable civilians. It is also vital that the remains of the final deceased hostage, Ran Gavili, are returned to his family. Hamas must disarm and unequivocally renounce violence. As we build a better future for Gaza, Palestinians must remain at the heart of transitional governance. And amidst progress on Gaza, we must not lose sight of the West Bank. It faces an unprecedented crisis, which risks undermining the 20-point plan and regional peace. So in that context, I'd like to make 3 points. First, this year has witnessed an unprecedented rise in settler violence against Palestinians, with 260 attacks in October alone. We condemn all such attacks. President Herzog and Prime Minister Netanyahu have committed to tackling settler violence. This must translate into concrete actions to protect Palestinian civilians and hold those responsible to account. We were shocked by reports of Israeli authorities entering an UNRWA compound on 8 December without authorization. UN premises are inviolable. Israel must comply with its obligations under international law. UNRWA plays an indispensable role supporting Palestinians in the West Bank, Gaza, and in the region. Second, we reiterate our firm opposition to settlement policies that violate international law and any form of forcible annexation. The reported approval of 19 new settlements in the West Bank, continued evictions of Palestinian families in Silwan in East Jerusalem, and the expropriation of the entire Acropolis of Sebastia and surrounding lands take us further away from peace. Third, the economic situation in the West Bank remains on a cliff edge. We call on Israel urgently to release withheld tax revenues, increase shekel transfer limits, and confirm a longer-term extension for correspondent banking relationships to avert economic collapse. President, the year ahead offers a chance to turn a page on 2 years of tragedy and chart a course towards peace. The UK will work with all our partners to implement Resolution 2803, promote West Bank stability, and develop an irreversible pathway towards a two-state solution. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the UK for his statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, President. Pakistan joins colleagues in strongly condemning the heinous attack in Sydney at a religious gathering. We extend our deepest condolences to the families of victims and wish a speedy recovery to the injured. Pakistan unequivocally condemns terrorism in all forms and manifestations. We also thank Deputy Special Coordinator Ramiz Al-Akbarov for his sobering briefing. The Palestinian people have endured decades of illegal occupation marked by dispossession and denial of their inalienable rights. Over the past 2 years, this suffering has escalated to an unprecedented scale in Gaza. And more than 70,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, have been killed, with communities destroyed and essential systems collapsing. Despite the bleak reality, the international community has sought to preserve the possibility of peace. A high-level conference in July and the General Assembly's endorsement of the New York Declaration established a multilateral pathway to revitalize the two-state solution. And President Trump's leadership and persistent efforts resulted in the peace plan and the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, mobilizing regional and international actors around urgent priorities, namely ending the bloodshed, maintaining the ceasefire, responding to the humanitarian catastrophe, reuniting families with detainees and hostages, and reopening a credible political process towards Palestinian self-determination and statehood. Pakistan acknowledges the facilitation of the United States, Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey in this regard. These efforts culminated in the adoption of Security Council Resolution 2803, which Pakistan supported as part of the group of 8 Arab and Islamic countries engaged in this process and in full alignment with the position of the State of Palestine and the Arab countries. All these efforts reflect a shared recognition that the status quo is untenable and that only a political horizon grounded in international law can offer a way forward. No resolution of the Security Council can be unilaterally declared outdated. They remain relevant and in force until they are implemented. Pakistan's position remains principled and consistent. The Israeli occupation of the occupied Palestinian territory must end, and the Palestinian people must be enabled to exercise their inalienable right to self-determination through the establishment of an independent sovereign state of Palestine. The role of UNRWA remains crucial and cannot be allowed to be undermined by unwarranted and unfounded criticism. On 12th of December, the foreign ministers of 8 Arab Islamic countries reaffirmed the indispensable role of UNRWA in safeguarding the rights and well-being of Palestinian refugees. The ministers condemned the storming of the UNRWA headquarters in Sheikh Jarrah, neighborhood of East Jerusalem, by Israeli forces, as this attack represents a flagrant violation of international law and the inviolability of UN premises. And it violates the advisory opinion of the ICJ of 22nd October 2025. The Secretary General's latest report on the implementation of Resolution 2334 paints an alarming picture. During the reporting period, Israeli authorities advanced over 6,300 housing units in the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, with a significant concentration in Area C and sensitive areas such as E1. It underscores that settlement activity in 2025 has reached the highest levels since the United Nations began systematic tracking. These actions, as reinforced by the July 2024 advisory opinion of the ICJ and identified in Resolution 2334, have no legal validity and are a violation of international law as they continue to entrench the occupation and undermine the viability of the two-state solution. Looking ahead, Pakistan wishes to highlight following points. First, Resolution 2803 must be implemented in full and in good faith. The momentum generated at Sharm el-Sheikh must be sustained. The central role of the Palestinian Authority is indispensable. The second phase must be implemented without delay. Second, all settlement activity must cease immediately in line with Resolution 2334. Any attempt to alter the demographic, legal, or historical character of the occupied territories, including around Al-Haram al-Sharif, is illegal and must be reversed. Third, the ceasefire must be fully respected, with no unilateral military actions. The withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza remains essential. Fourth, full, safe, and unimpeded humanitarian access must be guaranteed. Fifth, reconstruction should begin without delay, with no annexation, forced displacement, or fragmentation of the occupied Palestinian land. Sixth, accountability is indispensable, as without justice and respect for international law, there can be no durable peace. And finally, a time-bound and irreversible political process anchored in relevant UN resolutions must lead to the establishment of a sovereign, independent, and contiguous state of Palestine on the basis of pre-1967 borders, with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. That is the best guarantee for durable peace in the region. It is high time to turn promises into action and to speed up this process. Pakistan's solidarity with the Palestinian people remains unwavering. We stand firmly with them in their legitimate struggle for dignity, justice, and self-determination, and for the realization of an independent Palestinian state in accordance with international legitimacy. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for the statement.